Aloha everyone, Jody Mountain here with more of the Ancient Wisdom series. My work is called Lineage of Light, and I am based on the island of Maui, and I teach retreats and trainings in ancient Lomi. And the broader body of work that I am a part of and that I offer is called Ke Alahoku, the Pathway to the Stars. My teacher was Kahu Abraham Kawai Awaia Makai Ole Uliama. So today I wanted to address, as part of the series, what all of this talking and sharing has to do with ancient Lomi. And the answer to that question is pretty simple, and it is that the work of ancient Lomi is actually all about resonance, all about our essential resonance, how we vibrate cellularly, emotionally, mentally, within ourselves, with our internal family, and what vibration we move in the world as we interact with others. And including our unconscious patterning, our fears and traumas, our bliss and joy, all of who we are, and contributes to and creates our resonance. And when we're engaged with the meeting of that parts of ourselves in a way that brings harmony, kind of like a ho'oponopono, then we cultivate a resonance that is more and more open, more and more accepting, more and more loving in the end. Our goal is not to be loving, but our goal is to meet what is arising in us as life. And in my experience, that ends up, or has ended up most of the time, being in this more expansive space of acceptance, which is very close to, if not the same as, love. So the fundamental difference in, or one of the fundamental differences in this type of work is that it comes from far ancient Hawaii. It comes from indigenous mind. And one of the principles of indigenous mind is this great embrace that everything is a member of our family. And when we think about our cultural upbringing in the West, let's say, with the Judeo-Christian culture, a lot of that is based on the polarity of good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark. And that polarity gets applied to everything. It gets applied to who we are on the inside. Oh, this part of me is bad, this part of me is good. I'm going to try and get rid of the bad and only be a good person. And it has to do with observing other people. That person is bad and that person is good. I'm only going to be with the good people. And it goes into almost every area of our lives. And when we move towards indigenous mind thinking and experience, we come to recognize that everything is actually included, everything is actually welcome, everything is family. So when we look at nature, that's typically how our indigenous ancestors and some indigenous peoples today still interact with nature as a living being, all of whom is to be embraced. It doesn't mean that we don't protect ourselves in a storm, or we don't stay away from the riverbanks when there are floods, but we don't label those things bad or evil. We simply say, oh, nature is like this over here, and nature is like this at this time. And we meet it in a way that cares for ourselves and cares for nature. So when we approach the inside of our system in the same way, in the same embracing acceptance that all parts of me are worthy and welcome and loved and accepted, then our whole internal family can start to contribute to our forward movement in life rather than hold us back. Because the truth is that once we've felt something, once we've experienced something, that's part of us. That's part of our being. And to pretend to leave it behind only creates a burden for us, an energetic burden, because it's just not true that it is really left behind. We can change our relationship with it. And in that sense, it can become free in our system rather than locked down. So all of this to say that our essential resonance affects all of who we are, all of how we approach ourselves in the world, and allows for a certain type of space to be open when we begin to approach another body in the body work of ancient Lomi Lomi, in the body work of Kealahoku, the pathway to the stars. And so that resonance is the first thing. It's the most important thing in that work. It's not really about showing how to do things technically and physically. It's about moving in a way that is in harmony with life and outside of our control mechanisms and our knowledge base, kind of outside of the patterns that we use to keep defining and redefining ourselves, defining and redefining the body, so that what it does in this resonance is open the space for miracles to happen. When our attention and our sense of possibility expands, because our resonance expands, and we're able to accept more of the mana of who we are, then there are new avenues open of communion with Source. And yeah, that is the fundamental reason why all of these videos that I'm doing are talking about seemingly completely different things than, say, body work, but they actually all contribute to this resonance that we end up approaching in the work. So I will just leave that with you for today and wish you a wonderful reawakening of the light as I'm making this on the solstice. Aloha, everyone.